The sentence that set the WNBA on fire: a 16-year-old girl got cussed out by a team owner for holding a thank you sign, a grown woman got told to lower a piece of paper because it had a player's name on it, and a star athlete took an elbow straight to the face on national television and still got the foul called on her. All of that happened in the last 2 weeks, all of it is real, and all of it traces back to one paragraph in one magazine interview. Stay with me, because by the end of this video you're going to understand exactly how one sentence from Sophie Cunningham turned into the loudest fight in professional sports. Here's what makes this story different from every other viral sports controversy you've seen this year, buddy. This isn't rumor. This isn't speculation. Every single thing I'm about to walk you through happened in front of cameras, got confirmed by the league itself, or came from the people directly involved. And the deeper we go, the stranger this gets, because by the time we reach the part with the referees, you're going to be asking the same question millions of fans are asking right now: how does a player get hit in the face and still walk away with the foul? Before we get into it, if you want to actually understand what's happening in the WNBA right now instead of getting fed exaggerated nonsense, hit that subscribe button. This story is still moving, buddy, there are new developments almost daily, and the only way you don't miss the next twist is if you're already subscribed when it drops. So go ahead, tap subscribe, and let's get into exactly how this started. The interview that started everything. It began with a long ESPN profile on Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham, the kind of feature piece that usually comes and goes without much notice. Instead, one section of it detonated across the entire sports world. Cunningham told ESPN she wanted to protect young girls from having to compete against biological men, adding that she'd received plenty of backlash accusing her of hating transgender people, and firmly rejecting that characterization of what she'd said. She didn't walk it back the next day either. When reporters pushed her on it before Indiana's next game, Cunningham called her stance common sense and said she'd always believe it. Then she posted 3 words on social media that instantly became her signature line for this entire saga: "I said what I said." Now, buddy, here's the part that should stop you in your tracks: this wasn't some rant she launched unprompted. A reporter asked her a direct question, and instead of the safe, forgettable non-answer most athletes are media trained to give, she just told the truth as she saw it. That single decision is what set off everything that followed. A coach's t-shirt and a conversation everyone wanted to hear. Roughly 2 weeks later, Cunningham's Fever traveled to Minnesota to face the Lynx. The day before the game, Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve addressed the controversy directly without ever saying Cunningham's name, telling reporters she comes from a place of inclusion and that treating transgender athletes as the biggest problem in women's sports is a problematic narrative to push. Then, on game day, Reeve made her position impossible to miss. She wore a shirt reading, "Trans kids belong," underneath her blazer, visible the entire broadcast. The ESPN commentary team highlighted it on air. And right before tip-off, cameras caught something nobody expected: Reeve and Cunningham standing at center court in a long, animated conversation. Reeve later told reporters it was respectful, saying both of them understood they had platforms and wanted to educate people, even where they disagreed. Whatever was actually said between them, buddy, picture the position Cunningham was in: a coach who just spent the day before publicly framing her beliefs as a problem, now wearing a shirt responding directly to them, walking up to talk right before a nationally televised game. That's not exactly a neutral moment. But the conversation wasn't even the biggest thing that happened at that game. What happened next is the part that got people the angriest, and it didn't have anything to do with a t-shirt. The elbow, the review, and the call nobody could explain. Midway through the second quarter, Lynx forward Nia Coffey swung her elbow while trying to create separation from Cunningham, who was locked onto her on defense. The elbow caught Cunningham square in the face. She dropped immediately and grabbed for her jaw. Officials stopped play to review it for a possible hostile act, which tells you they thought, at first glance, that it looked serious enough to double-check. After the review, the call stood, a defensive foul, on Cunningham. Not Coffey. The player who took the elbow got charged with the penalty. Broadcast analysts covering the game live disagreed with the call on air. Fans and even Barstool founder Dave Portnoy reacted with disbelief on social media, with Portnoy posting a wildly exaggerated claim about how many teeth Cunningham supposedly lost on the play, which, to be clear, buddy, did not actually happen. She kept every one of her teeth. But the frustration behind the joke was real, because the visual of the hit versus the foul call is exactly the kind of thing that's hard to explain away once you've watched the replay yourself. Cunningham left the game briefly, came back, and finished the night with a handful of points off the bench. The Lynx won. But nobody was talking about the final score. If you think that's the last controversial moment in this story, buddy, you're not even close. Because two other things happened around this same stretch of games that are, honestly, worse than a bad foul call. The sign that wasn't allowed to say her name. At that same Minneapolis game, women's sports advocate Riley Gaines brought a small sign to her seat that read simply, "Sophie, thank you, a girl mom." She says she checked the arena's sign policy in advance and made sure it followed every size rule. According to Gaines, a Target Center staffer pointed at her and told her to put the sign down. When she asked why, she says he told her it was because the sign had Cunningham's name on it, even though, by her account, dozens of other signs around her displayed other players' names without issue. Gaines refused to lower it. She says the staffer eventually came back after the game and apologized. Now stack that next to what happened just days earlier in Seattle, because this is where the story stopped being about basketball entirely. Two teenagers, a team co-owner, and a suspension. Before the Minnesota trip, the Fever played in Seattle against the Storm. Two 16-year-old girls showed up wearing shirts from a brand built around protecting women's sports, holding a sign that thanked Cunningham for speaking up for girls. According to multiple accounts, Seattle Storm co-owner Celeste Keaton approached the girls, told them she hoped they'd be forgiven for their sin, and then cursed at them, calling them insane. One of the girls reportedly spent the second half of the game in tears. Video also circulated showing other fans nearby mocking the teenagers. Here's the part that makes this different from just an ugly moment in the stands, buddy, the league actually did something about it. Keaton was suspended for 5 home games and fined by the team. Storm majority owner Ginny Gilder issued a public apology, saying the organization was aware of the comments and wanted every fan to feel welcome. Cunningham herself responded publicly, calling the co-owner's conduct truly embarrassing, but she didn't stop there. She used the moment to say something that surprised a lot of people on both sides of this debate, saying there's room and love at her table for absolutely everyone, biological women, biological men, trans women and trans men alike. Stay with me, because that one line matters more than almost anything else in this entire story, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Booed in 2 cities, unbothered on the court. 2 nights after the Seattle incident, the Fever played in Portland. Fans there booed Cunningham every time she touched the ball, with some waving trans pride flags directly at her from the crowd. Her response was about as blunt as it gets. She drained a 3-pointer in the first quarter and threw up a hand gesture straight back at the section that had been booing her. That's twice in 1 week, buddy, Seattle, then Portland, where a road crowd tried to rattle her, and twice she just kept playing. Whatever you think of her politics, that kind of composure under that kind of pressure isn't nothing. So where does this actually leave things? Here's what we know for certain, buddy. Sophie Cunningham said something in an ESPN interview, refused to walk it back, and has spent the following weeks getting booed on the road, watched a coach respond to her with a shirt worn on national television, taken an elbow to the face that somehow ended up as a foul on her, and seen supporters get hassled by both arena staff and a team's own ownership. And through nearly all of it, she's kept saying the same thing over and over, that she's not trying to exclude anyone, she just wants girls' sports kept for girls. Whether you agree with her or not, that's the actual, documented story, not an invented lawsuit, not a fake locker room meltdown, just weeks of real, escalating tension playing out in front of cameras. And this is exactly why you need to already be subscribed, buddy, because with rallies now being planned outside every remaining road game on Indiana's schedule, and this many people and teams still tangled up in it, something else is going to happen before this season is over. The only question is what? Tell me your honest take in the comments, Do you think Cunningham's handled this the right way, or has this whole thing gone too far? Like this video if you want the real story instead of the fake drama other channels are pushing, and I'll see you in the next one.